Doug, would you like to do the honors?
No! Welcome to the Cinnamon.
Man.
Yeah. We're gonna get you. Wait, this isn't the wrestling podcast? Shit. I always forget that. God,
That's
snap into a Slim Jim of movies.
that's gonna be
If you
like
hear a cracking sound, you're watching them wrong.
that means the film on your VHS is probably snapped. When they lower my lifeless body into the grave, and like instead of the Air Force playing taps, I just want them to play a sound bite of you going, "Welcome to the Cinnamon," as they lower my body into the ground. That's an
Still
odd
recording
choice.
to his final moments. Still
Still
recording.
recording to his final moments. Just playing his greatest hits, and it was that one clip, and it wasn't even him. Okay, all right. Well, episode 76 of the Cinnamon, man. We are past the 3/4 to 100 mark. And as far as I know, we're going to keep this bad boy on rolling until the sun burns out of the sky.
I believe you described it as while still lowering you into the ground. So you set the bar of how long we're going to do this.
Pretty high or pretty low. I don't know how the future will. Yeah, I've
I
seen
mean, you
Final
would have to
Destination.
lower the bar to keep getting the casket down
That's
in there,
true.
right?
That's true.
The bar
That's
does
true.
have to be lowered.
Or
Our
until they shoot.
standards won't be, but the bar will.
I that's the new slogan. Standards low, but the bar isn't. Or standards aren't, but the bar is. Something like that.
Something. We'll workshop it.
We'll work something. I'll amend the logo to throw that in there some kind of way. I'll take out the cinnamon challenge part. I'm one half of the cinnamon. Seed. And over there, as always, is the wonderful, bubbly Douglas Davidson. How are you doing today, Doug Fresh?
Much better. Much better.
Excellent.
It's been a time here over the Davidson household, so thank you for the giggles.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Happy belated at the time of its recording anniversary, man.
Yep.
You and young Crystal Davidson, Casual Confections, plink, had your what year was this for you all? 11?
This is our 11th wedding anniversary, and January
your 42nd actual anniversary.
40. Wait, what?
What? How long have you actually known each other?
Let's see. We've known each other. We were actually just doing this. Let's see. It's 2022, so we've known each other 21 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I will keep this brief, but this is some shit. And you know me in brief, but I will actually try this time.
Mm-hmm.
My junior year, Crystal was supposed to be roommates with my then girlfriend. So being roommates, my ex Callie wrote her a letter. Hey, I'm going to be your roommate. Da 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 da. A little bit about me, my boyfriend Douglas. Da 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 da. And I worked at the student union as well as other jobs. I worked multiple throughout the year. They didn't pay dick, but kept me busy.
Mm-hmm.
And a mutual friend of Crystal's and mine worked in SGA, and Crystal started doing that. So it was like, hey, here's my friend Douglas. Oh, hey, you were supposed to be, because my girlfriend at the time then got moved to another place where she had no roommate. So they never lived together. So I met Crystal first learned about me through a letter, but then met me through our friend Shannon. And then like January of 2005, we started dating. So we will our relationship as it exists romantically will be old enough to be drafted in January. But we've known each other long enough to have a drink, and frankly, we should. But no, it's
people.
That's part of my day is waking up and there she is. Except sadly, she's not there because our children don't sleep. But I come downstairs and there she is.
And there she is, not too far behind. People wrote letters to people like before they became roommates. That was a thing. This is the first I've ever heard of anybody doing.
Really?
This. Yeah.
I don't know if it's school to school or whatever, but I did that when my freshman year. We found out who our roommates were, so we could write letters to do that because I had suite mates. I was living with 3 other people.
Yeah.
2 per room.
Mm-hmm.
But then I moved into the old dorms at UNCA where it was 1 person per room. So I didn't have any roommates until my last year. Again, long fucking story, when I moved out of that dorm back to my original dorm, and had roommates again. But by that point, it was like October. So I had no people to write a letter to. I just showed up and they were like, thank you for being here. Apparently, the people that were living in that dorm, in that room, caused a lot of problems. So my showing up as an RA, I was a resident assistant. They were like, thank you.
This is no bullshit how I met my roommate in college. I got there first and he got there like maybe like 3 hours after me, and dorms were small, so it didn't take me 3 hours to get my thing set up. So I was already set up before he got there. And I just so happened to be looking out of our window, which puts your back to the door, when he walked in. And so I turned around and I hit him with the Morpheus at last. He was like, oh boy.
Damn it, I should have worn the shirt. It wasn't clean yet. Crystal got me 3 shirts for our anniversary, and one of them is a Back to the Future style design, but it says Return to the Matrix with Neo standing in front of a DeLorean. Like,
nice.
I should have worn. I can go change. We can pause.
I think we'll be all right. All right. Let's get to the show.
What, you don't want to hear more tales from college? Isn't that why y'all listen to the Cine?
Tales from College episode. I'm just gonna cut this and put it as this little mini-sode.
Nah.
Yeah.
You want me to talk about Rocky Horror? I ran Rocky Horror for years.
I believe that 1,000%. A Douglas Davidson movie, if one were to exist, is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Doing the time warp and shit. What movies, sir, have you seen since we last spoke weeks ago on the last episode of the Cineman?
First of all, side quick story. At our wedding, the DJ was supposed to not finish the first dance, but like get a minute or two in and then hard cut to the time warp. Instead, he played the whole fucking song. Crystal and I swear to God, we're dancing, just being like, when the fuck is he going to cut the song? When the fuck is he going to cut the song? He played the whole goddamn song. We're literally talking to each other going, what the fuck? But plays the time warp. We had a ton of people. We were like, come on! A bunch of friends and family came running onto the dance floor. We do the time warp. And for those of you that are familiar, when the time warp ends, everyone, for those of you that aren't familiar, everybody in the movie drops to the ground after dancing, except for Brad and Janet. We had not choreographed this with anybody, but everyone on the dance floor fell to the ground when the song was over. Every fucking person.
Ain't that sweet?
I just, you gotta love when the vibe is on.
Bunch of nerds.
We are. It was great in their pictures, and it makes me happy. I did hurt my knee though. It anyway. Skinned it. It was worth it.
Old man Davidson.
My suit still has a patch where it's like, this is lighter than the rest of it. Literally lost color. Anyway, so speaking of horror shows, I covered the Brooklyn Horror Film Festival for a couple of days this year, and one film I absolutely want to recommend is a movie called Flowing. It's, I believe, Italian. It's got French and Italian in the film, but I believe the film as a whole is Italian. The name it also goes by is, I think, Piov. But the general idea is that a family that has survived a car accident are still grieving the loss of the mother/wife who did not make it. And they don't talk about it. And it's been a year later and they've just got festering resentments. Meanwhile, while that's happening, there is this, it's reductive to describe it this way, but it's the best way to put it. Ghostbusters 2 like goo throughout the city of Rome that when it rains turns into steam, and when people breathe it in, they hallucinate and then commit acts of violence.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It is an exploration of grief. It is an exploration of how one should communicate in order to heal, that if we shut ourselves down, if we shut ourselves off, if all we do is blame other people, then we can't move past it. It is very, there's no real subtext. Everything is textual. So yes, the goo is a metaphor, but it's not anything you have to dig deep for.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. But it's not about that. It's about how the story itself gets executed and how that goo is used. And I found it worked for me. it certainly helped that that particular evening I'd had a bit of a row with Connor, so I was already in a headspace where I was like, great, I'm about to watch a father and son fight. This will be fun. But there was some elements to it that were just really wonderful, even if they were dark. So a film called Flowing, Paolo Stripoli. It's been on the festival circuit for a while. If you get a chance to check it out when it gets picked up, do that. Another film that was divisive, to say the least. I heard someone describe it as The Last Halloween Jedi Ends.
Oh, no.
But,
oh, no.
Yeah. But Halloween Ends by David Gordon Green. I forget if you watched and reviewed it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I have only seen the original film and then this trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So I have nothing to compare it to beyond this story. And if you look at the David Gordon Green trilogy as a proper continuation from Carpenter's original film, then my expectations line up with everything that I've seen so far. And one of the big complaints with Halloween Ends, which the marketing was that this was going to be a big throwdown between Laurie and Michael, does not happen.
Mm.
I mean, it happens, but it's not the whole movie.
Yeah.
And the way that it happens for most people might really frustrate the shit out of them because, they're not Rocky and what's his name from Russia. It's not
Bullwinkle.
Not Bullwinkle. Help me out.
Drago.
Thank you. I just couldn't think of it all of a sudden. Those two had a fucking beef, right? So we're watching Creed 2, for example, and the stakes are high for everybody involved. Rocky 4, they were
stakes
fucking
upon there, sir.
What's that?
Was that beef and steaks upon there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Unintentional. Pun unintended.
No, not intentionally. But the way that these films have been set up, Michael is not seeking Laurie. He never has been. And if you watch these movies, he's never going after her, ever. It's not to say that he won't kill her, but he wasn't seeking her out specifically. Each of these movies, particularly in the new trilogy, have someone else or some action putting Laurie in Michael's path, or someone putting Michael in front of Laurie. So it becomes about convenience. And this film explores the dynamic of trauma, and not just how it impacts the victim or how it impacts the aggressor, but how it impacts the town itself. This shit gets dark in Halloween Ends, and it makes some leaps that it had already set up, quote, 4 years prior, by the end of Halloween Kills. This film totally worked for me. Delighted to discuss it with anybody, but if you come at me with, well, on Halloween H2O, I've seen the end of that movie. It doesn't matter. It ain't fucking canon to this. Well, but we needed to see Michael kill people. Did you? He doesn't really kill people in the original Halloween until like the last 20 minutes. So why are you guys complaining? You have an expectation. This film didn't meet that expectation. That doesn't mean that the film itself is bad. It just means that you went into it expecting a fight night for 2 hours and you didn't get that. You want fight night for 2 hours, go watch Halloween Kills. On the other side of the spectrum, a film that I would be delighted to recommend to everybody. It'll be coming to Netflix next month in November. It's the new Cartoon Saloon movie, My Father's Dragon, directed by Nora Toomey, who has directed other Cartoon Saloon films. Those of you that aren't aware, their last release was Wolfwalkers, but they're also behind The Breadwinners, Secret of Kells, and can't think of the other film. But this is an adaptation of a children's book, and it's a story of a young boy. He and his mom, they have to leave their rustic country life because their shit happens and the business goes well out of business. And they have to move to the city, and nothing's as it was supposed to be. Nothing was as his mother promised. And after saving a cat and giving it some kindness, it opens its mouth, and out comes the voice of Whoopi Goldberg that says, I can tell you where to get a dragon. If you get a dragon, you'll get everything you want. Go to this place and get a dragon. And so the kid goes to this place to get a dragon, only to find out that the dragon is living on an island where it is tied at the very top, because every few minutes the island is sinking into the ground and the inhabitants of the island, the animals that live there, have tied it so that the dragon can lift it up out of the ocean.
Uh-huh.
So in order to free the dragon, he also has to doom everybody on the island. Of course, this is a journey where he will learn things about himself. If you've seen other Cartoon Saloon movies, it is beautiful, it is thoughtful. To me, it is not their best work in terms of the adaptation of the story. Usually their children's stories are good for younger audiences, but also are told in a way that works for an intelligent adult audience. This one is very specifically for a young audience. So it feels very different from what this studio has done before. But it's still very good and has a great voice cast that includes Jacob Tremblay and, if I pronounce this right, Gaten Matarazzo, who is Dustin, I think, in Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also got Diane Wiest, Rita Morano, Chris O'Dowd, Judy Greer, Alan Cummings, Jackie Earle Haley, Mary.
What? Jackie Earle Haley's in this.
Oh yeah,
Rorschach?
didn't even recognize that he was in this. And of course, Ian McShane.
Okay.
He's great.
Okay.
And then last but not least, this is a film I never would have watched if it hadn't showed up on my doorstep. And even then I was like, what the fuck is this? A film called The Last Romantic Lover from 1978. The director is Jus Jacquin. This is the director and creative mind behind the Emmanuelle series.
Mm-hmm.
The Last Romantic Lover, released in 78, was his sort of transitional film into more general audience material, not so much softcore erotic material.
Mm-hmm.
This is a romantic comedy, almost a romantic erotic comedy, though it doesn't have as much nudity as you would expect from the director behind Emmanuelle. But The Last Romantic Lover is about an editor of a magazine who does the Last Romantic Lover competition and the lion tamer who doesn't want to fucking be there. But he ends up having to be there because their lion has died. And if the circus doesn't have a lion, they go out of business.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets forced into doing it. Most of the movie is the competition. Think, what was the Sandra Bullock movie where she has to go undercover? You know what I'm thinking of, though, right?
Heat?
Not Heat. No. Right idea. All of a sudden, I can't think of it. God damn it.
Miscongeniality.
Miscongeniality. Okay, that. Think Miscongeniality, where most of the movie is the pageant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's this. But then his part of the prize is he gets to take someone on a 10-day romantic whatever, and he says, fuck you, I want you, the editor, to come with me. So then it turns into sort of this romance of sorts.
Okay.
I never would have watched this if it hadn't shown up. Can't recommend it enough. It is cute and adorable and hilarious and really kind of subversive in a way that you wouldn't have expected from 1978 cinema, though it is French cinema, so maybe you would. It's getting a wonderful 4K restoration from Cult Pix, is, I think, the distributor. It's brand new. They've only started releasing some of these. So those are the 4 films I would recommend.
Cool. Most of the movies that I watched over the last bit are rewatches for writing reviews for things coming up a little bit later on down the road. Actually, by the time you hear this, they might have already started, depending on when this episode goes up.
Had time for those, did you?
Yes, I did. Outside of that, man,
fuck off.
The big one that I saw, the one that people are, of course, talking about all over the place, is Black Adam. Man, I saw African American Adam in theaters this week. It's directed by, hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly, Jaime Colette Serra, and it stars, of course, The Rock, because he announced this almost a decade ago, and Aldous Hodge, Noah Centineo, Pierce Brosnan,
Age of the Geek, baby.
Sorry. Yeah, a couple other people in there as well. It's fine. It's just fine. Capital J, capital F there. It's got a rough, clunky ass first act. It's about an oppressed person in this fictional Middle Eastern country of Kandak, who is given the powers of a god. If you've seen Shazam, this companions very well with Shazam. There's parts of Shazam
he gets referenced in Shazam. We see him.
Yeah,
Not The Rock, but we see Black Adam.
right. It makes for a great double feature if you're a fan of Shazam. It's worth doing a double feature. I wasn't, but yeah,
You weren't a fan of Shazam, or you weren't a fan of this?
uh, I wasn't a fan of Shazam. I like this a little bit better.
Interesting. Why
Yeah.
do you hate children?
Not fun to me. Simply put, children aren't fun to me, especially the kid in this movie sucks. Which I think very cordially neglected to mention in my review. I was like, I don't need to pile on this kid, but I didn't like him all that much. He is pretty much your stand-in for Freddy from Shazam, and I very much assume at some point, whereas we will get Black Adam Shazam meeting, those two will meet as well, as kids, not as little kid and Shazam. Anyways,
Wait. I have questions now.
Yeah.
Because Teth Adam, right?
Yes, Teth Adam. Teth.
Yeah. He doesn't switch like Billy Batson does.
No.
And there's only one other character that I know is in this movie, because they show you it quickly in the trailer, that I thought was Freddy in the comics.
No, Freddy's not in this movie.
No, I know Freddy's not in the movie. I'm saying in the comics, the character that shows up in this movie I thought was Freddy.
Oh, no.
So who are you talking about? Where that kid? Who's the kid?
It's just the kid is like one of our viewpoints throughout the movie.
Oh, okay.
It's just the excitable kid of of one of the other non-powered beings that we're supposed to be the gateway through to this movie.
Gotcha.
They awaken the slumber of Black Adam, and it starts with a very ridiculous long voiceover kind of setting things up that doesn't quite work, very clunky, that kind of sets things up, and then as the movie progresses you find out that the history and lore has been perversed over the years, and that's not exactly what happened. If you can get through that first act, that's just all clunk and no charm whatsoever. Once they get to the actual Black Adam part of Black Adam, and they introduce the Justice Society with Hawkman and Dr. Fate and Atom Smasher and Cyclone, that's when things get better. Not great, but better. That's when you start having a little bit of fun. And after that, you get a whole lot of great action scenes throughout there. And like I said, a couple of nice surprises and twists and reveals and such. The villain doesn't work on any level whatsoever. Very much feels like a phase 1, phase 2 MCU villain. Kind of just, I'm bad because I'm supposed to be bad, because you need someone better than Black Adam to be bad. So I'm here to be bad. Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, very like Obadiah Stanish. Like
I don't know much about that particular character, but I feel like what I know about that character, this is a shitty way. Like they did dirty to that particular character.
They did dirty the character. They did dirty the actor, because the script is also kind of lacking in this movie as well. Like there's some horrible lines, and I feel like the man that got stuck with being the villain, I was like, man, they fed you dog shit for this movie. But still, there is fun to be had in it. I'm not a fan of the phrase, if you turn your brain off you'll enjoy it, but there's fun to be had. It's fun to be had. If you don't want to dig too deep into it, you can enjoy it as it is. People have been asking me, do I need to go see this? Can I wait until it hits HBO Max? Personally, I think you can wait until it hits HBO Max, but it was also fun to see in the IMAX theater. So take that as you will.
Sexy Jafar. I thought I knew that name.
Was that Jafar from the Aladdin movie? That Jafar was sexy.
The guy that they did dirty. Not only is he sexy Jafar, I've apparently seen him in more movies than I realized. He's fantastic in the Old Guard. Marwan Kenzari. Yeah. He is fantastic in the Old Guard. I'm looking forward to that sequel. But I have not seen Black Adam. I'm looking forward to the home release, which, if it follows Dune, presume that sort of timeline. Dune also came out in October. This came out in October. Then I figure January for the home release.
Really?
So I'll finally get to find that out. I just got to say, for so many people that are DCEU heads that were excited for this movie and have been enjoying Dwayne Johnson's trash talk about ruining the fun for everybody.
Talk about ruin the fun for everybody. He comes from that from that WWE mindset of say whatever you gotta say to get the tickets. And unfortunately, that has led to things that shouldn't be said to get that hype to get the tickets, understandably. But man, there's a line you gotta walk. And he hopped right on. He didn't even try to Joseph Gordon-Levitt that line, whatever that shitty movie he did was, where he walks between the buildings on a tightrope. But yeah, he ruined it.
Well, I'm not even talking about him. I get what he was doing. I'm talking about the fans that immediately went, "Oh, hey, I'm in the theater. I'm going to record all of this."
Oh,
And I'm not even going to be an asshole and actually be specific. You might have an idea about what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to confirm it. Whereas there's one dude whose
yeah,
entire
Ramos,
social
that
media
fucking idiot. Let's talk
personality
about him.
is based on this. And
Yeah.
he decided to record what was happening while having someone record him flipping out in a movie theater. And if I was in the theater with him, I would have screamed and yelled, like, what an asshat.
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying, but also before that, The Rock kind of spilled the beans on what's going on. But yeah, that is a very asshat thing to do, and that's something he is known for. His 10-gallon hat of ass hattery.
I'm are you talking about the social media personality, or are you talking about Johnson?
No, first of all,
Because I'm not talking about Johnson.
No, I'm not talking about his ass hattery. His ass hattery was much lighter. I'm talking about Ramos and his 10-gallon hat of ass hattery. Terrible way to do things. Anyways, done talking about Black Adam.
Okay.
Go see it if you want, or if you want to wait till streaming, I think you'll enjoy it just as well. Holes here and there, but some surprise standouts. Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate, dope.
Not even surprised.
Yeah, they announced that, and I was just like, oh, well, yeah, why wasn't he already? I think he actually is Dr. Fate, but anyways. I also saw, as you alluded to earlier, documentary, which is something that is not quite my speed. I did this for something else that I was working on. The Redeem Team, man, directed by John Weinbach. It's a documentary about the 2008 Olympic team, men's basketball team. And of course, coming off of that embarrassing 2004 bronze medal performance that we had in a sport that is 100% dominated by us, America, and how that affected the world in sports, how that affected USA basketball, and kind of what the players had to go through upon coming back from that, and how do you bounce back from something that you've dominated since its inception, until now. It's a fascinating look if you're a sports person at all. I think it's definitely worth a check out. If you love a story of overcoming adversity, it can't really be called that because it's hard to overcome adversity when you've been dominating in that sport since like the 60s or whatever they introduced it into the Olympics. But yeah, it's good. You got your main three being LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Dwayne Wade. Three very charismatic guys in their own right. And they also cut to a lot of older interviews from the Mamba himself, Kobe Bryant. So it's great. This is great to see how a group of people come together for one common cause, which is why I like the Olympics as much as I do.
Very cool.
Check that out. It's on Netflix.
Woo.
And that's it. Are you ready to get into today's
weird ass topic?
Weird ass topic, man. There's one that I struggled with for a bit, and then that first domino fell, and I was like, okay, now I'm here for it. I know what's going on
now. This may have been a Crystal idea. I forget now, but it was just sort of this interesting idea of, especially as I'm doing some FYC stuff and catching up on animated releases or just films in general that I haven't seen yet. I'm at this point planning to watch Nope on Halloween. Things work out because I finally got a screener for that. But I've watched like Minions: The Rise of Gru, which was about as bad as I expected it to be.
I got Bad Guys in the mail the other day.
So much fun.
Yeah, I was like, I guess I'll check this out.
Oh, have you watched it yet?
No. I'm gonna save it for my December watches.
No, check it out. It's not my favorite animated film of this year, but it is your kind of movie. One, you love a heist film.
Love good heist.
Okay. They very specifically, it's an homage because of the book creator for the bad guys. For those of you that don't know, with the bad guys, it's based on a kids series of books, but the creator got inspiration for the different characters from watching different movies. So there's Mr. Shark, Jaws, Piranha. Guess where that came from? Like Mr. Wolf, Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Like there's all of these things, but also the film itself is shot and certain things are staged that are on the nose references to Tarantino and others that are references to like Mission Impossible or whatever else. So there's a lot of layers to this that make the bad guys work not only as a kid's story, but also as something that adults can enjoy. It is one of my favorite animated movies this year.
Okay.
Not my favorite, but it's definitely worth the watch. You will enjoy it. But as an example, that is not a world I'd want to live in because I don't fucking understand it. In the books, everybody is an animal. In that movie, some are humans, some are animals, and some are anthropomorphized animals, and some of them are just fucking animals. I don't get it.
I think you get the same thing in the world of BoJack Horseman as well. We'll see how
that shit confuses me too.
So, the topic for the day.
But that is the topic: is if you could go into any of these universes and exist, would you, or would you not? Is there a universe in which you wouldn't want to go? There are some like Batman Ninja. Chris and I were spitballing some stuff, Batman Ninja or Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I went, fuck no, because if Batman is there, that means the Joker is there, and I don't want to deal with that level of nonsense.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair assessment, sir.
And like, would I want to exist in the world of Sausage Party? No, because I already feel a certain level of guilt. I don't need to know that my potatoes are screaming because I'm taking their skin off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need that stress or strain.
I do want to live in a world where I walk into a grocery store and see all the food humping each other.
Correct. If I'm going to eat anything with cream in it, no.
The cream might not have started there earlier that day.
I'm saying. So there's definitely some worlds in which it might be fun to exist, but may not be advisable. So it seems sort of interesting to go through and go, all right, if I could pick 3, which ones would or wouldn't I? So what is your first, sir?
I'm going to start my cheat.
Sure.
We have one theatrically released animated film in this universe, which I'll use to cheat and to widen the entire universe. But Star Wars, the animated joint, the Clone Wars. Of course, I would want to live in the Star Wars world, man. It's always being mined for new and more fascinating things. With every movie, you see some strange new occupation, some strange new planet. You always see ships always coming to and go, traveling the galaxy. I think it's a universe where you have your options. If you wanted to, there's so many different planets out there. I'm sure there's people who just live their lives, have been born and have died and gone about their day unaffected. Or sometimes the Empire's policy might have affected them. And then you have the choice of, well, let me get caught up in this shit. Let me get part of the rebellion, or let me sign up for the Empire. Let me be a smuggler. Let me be this. Let me be a bounty hunter. You can have the option of just being a regular person or really getting mixed up in the shit. And I think that all depends on the specific person who's this choice would be put in front of, where they transport it to this one might say galaxy far, far away. But for me, I would definitely be mixed up in all the shit happening in the Star Wars universe. I might not make it past the opening credits.
But I'll make it past the scroll.
It's gonna get half through the scroll. Here's where Daryl died, and just keep on going the rest of the scroll.
It'll be like the anti-Rise of Skywalker. And then this happened. And then this happened. Daryl is dead.
Yes, somehow Daryl is dead. That's how it starts. Which
Palpatine has risen, Daryl is dead.
These two things are uncorrelated. Which leads me to my question, sir. If you were to be in the Wars universe, what would you want to be? Would you be Jedi? Would you be just a moisture farmer? Would you be a smuggler? You'd be a Jedi?
I would want to be a Jedi, but not Jedi of the prequels, because
hubris.
They were as bad as the Sith at that point, because only Siths deal in absolutes, except for the fact that so do the Jedi, and they don't see it, and pride cometh before the fall.
Yep.
I would want to be Jedi post The Last Jedi, post, in after
After the sequel
sequel
trilogy.
trilogy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I think that there would be an opportunity if the First Order is officially gone. Let's just say that they're actually gone at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there's going to be a few people that rise up because, we'll play
Power
with the
vacuums.
ideology. We don't really mean anything. We wouldn't really kill all of these people. Meanwhile, they try to kill all these people. But I think being a Jedi, having the ability to help others in that way, but also recognize that that it's the connections that we have to each other that keep us strong, and therefore
You
you
need
can be a
somebody
warrior
to
monk and still get some. You know what I mean?
warrior monk still get some because who's going to tell you no? And be a person who goes around. You could be like the new kung fu, just going around teaching people about the Force, getting in the wacky adventures, and then you're out in the end credits.
I'm just going to say that feels racist. To say that I could be the new kung fu,
or the
that
new
feels
Hebrew
very
hammer.
appropriative.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, my first joint is the Star Wars world of Star Wars. Bless you, sir.
As my grandmother would say, sneezing on the truth. I don't know what that means, but that's what she would say.
That's what she would say, and I believe her.
Now I'm gonna go with what is going to be my sole yes.
Okay, and that was my soul yes, by the way.
Oh, well, there we go. Mine is actually a film that I watched this year. It was originally I've talked about it before, so I won't get into it too much. But it's a movie that I think was on the festival circuit last year. It hit theaters this year in home video, Pompo the Cinephile.
Oh, yes.
And the reason why I would want to exist in that world, go to visit, whatever, is simply because the way that the story plays out, it's a film basically about people who love movies making movies, to the point where there's part of the story that involves finance, and even those people, in sort of only the way that certain idealistic views can be. It's like, yes, we know that it may not make money, but we need to invest in it because this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something very warm and idealistic,
noble,
and yes, very fucking noble. That, I mean, when people are making movies, they're not necessarily thinking of the noble thing. When people are making the Mortal Kombat Legends series, they're not like, I'm making art. They are making a form of art, but it's not going to necessarily like change the world type of thing. It may entertain, it may make people feel something, but they're not making it because they're trying to reshape the world. They're making it because there's something that they want to see. There's a story that they want to tell, right?
Yeah.
If it does that other stuff in the process, awesome, but it's not the intent. Whereas sometimes we seek to make something in order to make people feel.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who loves movies, a film like Pompo the Cinephile does that, and it moves me because it is so fucking optimistic without being naive.
I'm thank you. I added it to my watch list of animated movies to get to before the year, or before nominations are due in early December for some reason in some cases. But yes, I need to track that down. Good call, and thank you on that one. I've forgotten about that.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I do recommend. Would lend it to you if you need a copy.
Right on. Boom. It's time to get the shit I don't want to be in. No, start with number one.
Fuck that noise group.
The fuck that noise group. Akira.
I was wondering.
Ain't no way in nobody's hells that I'm getting up in that world.
Ain't no mountain high enough.
Ain't no
valley low enough.
No. All those mountains exploded in the end of Akira, and all those valleys got filled with boiling water, I'm sure.
Akira!
I'm a big fan of dystopian sci-fi. I would not be a big fan of living through dystopian sci-fi, even though we are headed in that direction as we speak.
Yes.
yeah, it's while the story of Akira is one of my favorites of all time, it still stands and will probably always stand to be my favorite animated film of all time. The reality of that world is very cruel, it's very harsh. We see governments subverting, we see police states rising, people just getting the shit beat out of them in open public, gangs roving all over the place. And then that's before you get into all of the supernatural stuff that's going down. Now, granted, we only get to see just this one part of the world here in Japan. But that is the world that is built. So therefore, that is not a world that I would like to exist or be a part of in any way. You see innocent bystanders getting taken out like yesterday's garbage all over the place. And no, there's no place for me in that world. And if you do make it in that world, I think it's safe to say that you will have lost some part of yourself surviving in that world.
I was curious if you were going to mention it, and yeah, that's the exact same conclusion I would have come to.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Fuck
movie, terrible world to live in.
Correct. With a beautiful score, but correct.
Correct. Although, if they're like, we can get you this dope ass orange leather jacket with the pill on the back of it and the motorcycle to go with it, I might be tempted.
Talk to Leslie. You guys may have gotten money for your honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you need to get a jacket for your honeymoon.
We are going to New York in springtime. It might still be a little bit chilly. I might need to keep myself covered with a giant orange bright ass jacket.
You know what? This way, if you go running, she'll be able to find you in the dark.
She'll be able to find me in the dark. Also, if I'm running, boy, things have gotten to a weird ass point in life.
Easier to find you in a big orange jacket.
What
orange? I always thought it was sort of a dark red.
It kind of really depends on like what year you watch it. I think if you
watch it in odd numbered years, it changes color.
And it's like the Star Treks and odd number watches will give you the orange and even gives you the reds. I feel like they did a little bit of color correction on the 4K, which played with things a little bit.
Yeah, that's.
But then again, like my first watching was like on an old VHS, so that might have had something to do with it as well.
May have.
What's your second one, sir?
My second one is a world that, on the one hand, I think would be sort of exciting at the possibility. But then I thought about it one step past the ooh and went, fuck no. Mine is a pseudo cheat as well, because it started off as a manga, which was then adapted into a television series and now has 3 movies. So because they're movies, I'm using that shit.
I figured you were going there, like you figured I was going with Akira.
So My Hero Academia, fuck that noise. I do not want to live in that world.
You don't want your quirk, sir?
What was that?
You don't want your quirk?
No, fuck no. Because with my luck, I'd be like that dude in season 3 that he can only shoot like razor blades from like his fingernails or some shit. And I don't need that. Like, know. I mean, would it be handy when I have to like carve a pumpkin? Sure. But no. Like, season 6 just started. The previous season, the first half of it is 2 classes, our main class and then the class right behind them, competing in training. And one of them can have blades come from any part of his body. And I'm like, no thank you. No. I immediately go to like the worst case scenario with that, because the idea of the quirks is super cool. But one that's really interesting is one of the characters, the show Bakugo. He is an asshole, is the best way to put it. When we meet him, he is a major bully and he yells at everybody. He doesn't learn anybody's names, whatever. But and his quirk is he excretes nitroglycerin so he can make explosions. He can use that to propel himself. He can use that to attack people, whatever. It's super cool in the way that he uses it, and he's very good as a hero. However, someone posited, I forget where, that the reason why Bakugo is yelling and angry all the time is because he's got nitro fucking glycerin running through his body. And if he tried to stay calm, it would kill him. So he's angry to keep his stress level high. And I'm like, what goddamn nightmare would that shit be? you know?
Well,
So
ask Bruce Banner, he'll tell you.
I just think of the Flash, you know, who, when you really think about it, this guy, Barry Allen, has to slow himself down in order to speak to other people, which means he is constantly, his natural rate is fucking this,
Yeah,
but he
he's
has to,
always repressing himself.
exactly, the exhaustion, just the sheer fucking exhaustion to exist. So, while it'd be like, oh yeah, it'd be super cool, you know, get a neat quirk and do this, and I'd end up like fucking Bagman. Like I would have no ability, it wouldn't do anything, and I just look funny. I'd look like a bear and whatever. That'd be normal, but what? No, I'm cool. I don't mind having no quirk.
Fair, fair enough, sir. Fair enough.
Fuck that. Also, Shigaraki's out there. Fuck that.
My final one, I have it. So I have like my third one, and then I also had a backup to my first one, and both just feel like duplicates of the others.
Pick one. Not
Okay,
that one.
I'm going
Not that one.
Evangelion. I'm not living in the world of Neon Genesis Evangelion, which, by the way, for those of you who might be Evangelion fans, don't know, November 30th, I think it's Fathom Events, is bringing 3.0 Thrice Upon Time to theaters on what the email said was one day only, but then later on the email list other days for other things. So I'm not sure what that's about. I only
Well, it's
skimmed it.
only on one day for each of these one days. What is so confusing about that?
That makes all the more sense now. Neon Genesis Evangelion, if you are not aware, is an anime that is that's just existential depression and identity crisis and dread, and there's nothing fun or happy. It's all bleakness and darkness and terribleness, and it is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Because you're a horrible person, but we don't like to talk about that.
uh,
December 6th, 8th, and 11th.
Yes, 6th, that's right. Thank you very much, sir. It's about these beings that they call angels, these giants, large, and I think of like the Titan and Attack on Titan is similar-ish to these beings, the angels, who come to attack the city every once in a while, and they are stopped by these giant mechs that are piloted by teenage children. Think the plot of Pacific Rim, because in no way did Guillermo del Toro lift any of that idea out of there. Giant coincidence. Had to be, can't tell me any different. Sure. So think about the plot of
There's
Pacific
a
Rim.
giant, what is it, a Gundam, right?
Yeah, Gundam.
There's a statue of one. Yeah,
Right.
we can't give him any kind of crap. It's right there.
I give him all the crap. So if you know Pacific Rim, you have
But at least he doesn't use children.
He doesn't use children, although the technology that they use to sync from the person to the Gundam is pretty much the exact same idea in Evangelion. You have to be one with the device, and the main story is focused on one of the kids coming into the program who also happens to be the son of the person who runs the program, battling these angels. They have a very strained relationship, and it's a painful watch to see this kid go through hell and torture just to attempt to have a relationship with his father, just to get his father to notice him, because his father is too busy trying to save the world from these things. And very honestly, just doesn't want a relationship with his son because he would think that would be a distraction. It would be a horrible world to live in, to have these giant alien creatures constantly attacking the city, with your only savior being the most mentally stressed out teenage boy, as well as other teenagers, those who get burned out and go crazy and don't die, to stop from just the constant attacks of these giant alien creatures. That's one of the reasons why I loved Nope as much as I did, is because there is some very Evangelion inspired events that happen in that movie, and I'm dying to ask Peel that one question, like what how much Evangelion were you watching when you wrote Nope? But yeah, it's a terrible world to live in. A beautiful TV series if you want to be depressed. Still from the 90s, I think one of these seminal animes, one of the seminal just stories of all time. It's beautiful and terrible all at the same time.
Quick side note. As mentioned, I believe while we were recording, I have not yet seen Nope. I avoided all these spoilers, avoided as much as I could. The advertisement the official Nope account put up spoiled the goddamn movie.
Did they spoil what the thing was? Was that after it had been out for a while, or
No, they were announcing the digital release.
so it had been out? Yeah, it'd be
It had been
theatrical
in
release.
theaters, but they were announcing the home release, and they were like,
Um,
"Hey, hey, check it out!" Whoa! I was like,
yeah.
what the fuck, you guys?"
Yeah, man. Yeah, you only wait for so long. Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's
still, like, what a dick move! I haven't seen you yet. You want me to buy you because I haven't seen you. Fuck you.
still plenty in there, worthwhile, sir. But yeah, that's my third and final pick. Evangelion's terrible, but it's wonderful.
For my third one, and this was kind of a joke, and I'd forgotten about it. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, correct. Okay. So I'm in my office. You're a geek. What do you have in your office? Describe to me how you've decorated it.
I have show logos hung up there. I got various geek paraphernalia. My books are here. My bookshelf of comic books are here. The Funkos that people have bought me over the years. A giant Infinity Gauntlet that I won in the draft
There you
is
go.
up there. Yeah, and then TV behind me reflecting the football on this screen.
I wasn't going to call you out, but okay, sure. My office, I have Funkos. I have a statue, a bust of Ash from Army of Darkness with a hand out and shotgun. And well, the shotgun broke off from years ago. We've moved. It
It
happened.
happens.
For my 40th, Crystal got me a big statue of Superman and Darkseid in combat. I've got Funkos all over the place that you mentioned. In our house, we've got other toys and other things. And so Chris and I are going back and forth. And I went, I do not want to exist in the Toy Story universe because they've seen some things.
Fair enough.
We are in the privacy of our own home, and what we do in our home is up to us. But it's kind of like the whole sausage party thing. And I'm not trying to make that as a direct reference, but I don't want to be worried about the potatoes I'm peeling, nor do I feel like, hey, let's time travel a few years. Hey, Crystal, we don't have any kids. We're going to try to have kids. Excuse me while I go turn all of our decorative things around.
But then what if like you get done with the do and you look back at the Superman just giving you a giant thumb?
Or I don't know if that would make me happy. Yeah, giving me the Buddy Christ. I'm not sure if that would make me happy or if I'd be horrified.
Like that could go either way.
Yeah. Just no. That is a hard no for me. If given the choice, no, I would not like to live in the Toy Story universe because then I would never be able to decorate my house ever again.
That thought did cross my mind. I thought long and hard about what Pixar joints that I might or might not want to live in. I just couldn't get. I briefly flirted with Wall-E. Like things have gotten to a terrible point.
We're getting close to that. Yes, you mentioned that before.
We're also getting close to that Wall-E as well. Yeah, but that was the one I was like, do I not? And I decided to go the different direction. But yeah, Toy Story, good call, sir. Good call.
I would almost want to live in a universe with the Joker. Like at least that I could keep my dignity.
At least that you can just move away from the Joker.
Like he doesn't so cheap in Gotham.
He doesn't do much outside of Gotham, but there's a reason that rent is so cheap. You can live in the Narrows.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing is, I then went further when Chris and I were talking about that, and went, okay, but not only if there's a Batman, does there therefore then have to be a Joker? But that also means that there's Superman. If there's a Superman, then now we've gone from these like localized super criminals to galactic. We're going to destroy you. And
it only takes one time for the Justice League to fail. Luckily, they somehow managed to save the day in the last few pages.
And so far, our world is looking like written and directed by Zack Snyder. So
Yes,
I'm
yes, it
cool. I
is.
could use a little less gritty.
A
A
little
little less
less
gritty.
gritty. The one that I was flirting with that that I
How
was
you doing?
that wasn't Star Wars was Cowboy Bebop. That's a different universe that like you can either A choose to just kind of do your own thing and live, or B you can get caught up in the fun shit that the B-boy crew gets into until it's very not fun.
Everywhere I looked, everywhere I was like, big nope.
A big note here, big note here.
It
But I
was
do want my own.
hilarious. It was like I was like, what about like Mitchell's versus Machines? They've got some amazing tech. Yeah, that tried to murder them. But what about the Incredibles? Maybe you'd have a superpower and then get murdered. Like there was no. I mean, even like Bob's Burgers movie, which I loved from this year. It's not an extraordinary movie. It just there's something about the story that just touched me
Mm-hmm.
in an appropriate way.
I do love
Uh,
hamburgers. Yes.
I was like, I'm already living that. Linda is Crystal. Like it is just
Mm-hmm.
she is my wife. It's hilarious. It was hilarious watching this movie, and I'm in tears at the very beginning of it because I'm like, good God, it's Crystal. And then I finally showed her the movie well after the home release, and I just keep looking at her and going,
Yeah, you know this is based off of your life, right?
yeah. I sent them script notes.
Made a
That was
Carrie
fun.
Fisher style, kind of doctored it up a little bit. Let's get into this cinnamon challenge for
Is it
the
even
episode,
worth it?
sir.
I win.
Yes, sir. I will admit on air, I did not get an opportunity to watch my challenge due to these 75-hour work weeks,
Yeah.
as well as the.
We can just hold the challenge until later. I don't mind.
All right,
I've
that works.
watched it.
That works.
I'm ready. I've done my homework.
All right, then fine. I will get to that before we record again for the next episode. Sure. I will say that I do believe I have stated many and many times on this program, not a huge fan of animated movies.
Mm-hmm.
So when because you challenged me to Super Pets,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, when it first came in, I was like, that pass, I don't care. But when you challenged me, I watched the trailer and I was like, well, no, I have to keep my hard exterior. But I will say there's some
it
fun
is
shit.
Unexpectedly adorable and well done.
All right, then cool.
I was surprised.
I'm surprised that I'm looking forward to it more than I initially was after I watched the trailer. So it looks like Doug cracks my hard exterior yet again.
Keanu Reeves is a surprisingly good Batman. But you got to keep in mind that this is a very specific universe, and the film makes it clear that this world knows that there's a multiverse.
All right, right on.
Because Lois goes to call for help, and the helpline on the JLA is, if you're calling for Earth 1, press this. For Earth
nice,
2.
Nice.
Meanwhile, mayhem is happening. But like, it's in the trailer, so this isn't a ruining of anything. But Batman is nearby when Superman pulls out a chew toy for Crypto, and Crypto goes, "Squeezy Bruce." it's a Batman chew toy,
yeah.
And Batman's like, "That's not a licensed toy. I will freak out." But Keanu is just so good, just in these brief little perfect line deliveries, and the supporting cast that plays the JLA very briefly in this movie is just fun. And what's her face? Kate McKinnon.
Love me some Kate McKinnon.
Oh, you're gonna have a good time. She plays a hairless guinea pig who wants world domination.
There it is. I'm for it. Give it to me. All right, then we will save that for next episode.
And because you've seen Black Adam, make sure to stay through the credits, or in your case, fast forward.
Okay. Well, yeah. I will not just sit there on my couch as the credits roll.
Well, yeah, but think of it in the same way that Venom teased up in another universe.
Mm-hmm.
This does a tease for what you've already watched.
All right, then. Well, there you go. Boom. Boom. You got anything else before we wind this bad boy on down, sir?
Just that it is, let's see, the 23rd of October as we're watching this. So all the theaters are going to be putting all these big dramas out into theaters.
Oscar and I want to remind
you that there have been tons of great movies released throughout the year. There's no way to see everything, but just because it's not coming out now doesn't mean that it's not worth watching. And if you've seen something that you've enjoyed, fucking great. Absolutely great. Just because it doesn't do well by critic standards or fan standards doesn't mean that you can't enjoy something. And I want to remind everybody, because it came up again with Black Adam, Rotten Tomatoes is not a monolith, it's an aggregator.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're comparing scores, make sure to look at the data, because one score from 50,000 people will be tabulated very differently with another score from 120. So please, please, if you're going to compare scores from one movie to another movie, also look at the supporting data, because it's not 1-to-1.
Yeah, but yeah,
So
you're
watch
asking
what you
people
like
to
and watch more movies.
you're asking people to do some critical thinking, and that's not what people do on the internet.
It hurts me.
But yes,
Every
we are
fucking
getting
time it
into
hurts.
award season, so all sorts of juicy, important art will be coming out, and we also get Avatar 2. Can't wait! It's going to be fun times to be had in the theaters for the rest of the year.
I wish I was excited for that. I still haven't seen the first one.
You never bet against Cameron is my that's my quote that I will take to the grave. Never bet against Cameron.
Did I say I was betting against him? Do I have money down? Am I wishing him ill will? Fuck no. The longer James Cameron sticks around, maybe there's a chance we'll get a Blu-ray of True Lies.
Give that pipe dream up, my friend.
No.
All right, that's
if we can have 50 million releases of Titanic, if we could get Avatar back in theaters, I can get a goddamn Blu-ray of True Lies. Bill Paxton deserves it.
Bill Paxton, I'll tell Big Jim next time I talk to him. Bill Paxton, sir, next time we go diving, I'll let him know.
It's a great goddamn performance.
It's a great performance. I
plays
watched
a
it.
Shitbag beautifully.
He does. I watched it earlier this year to see where we'll place on the 100 action movies list for 2024. Spoiler alert.
You know what?
It's got a good placement.
If it's not where I wouldn't put it, fuck you in your list, because it's your list, not my list, and therefore I can say that to you, and you'll go, oh, well, I'll fix my list. Oh, wait, I won't, because it's my list. Go make your own fucking list. So you know what? I will.
There you go. Coming out in 2024, Doug's 100 action movies list. No, you heard it here first. I'm just gonna cut out that little bit right there. Just play that on loop.
No.
I'm gonna take my own list. I'm gonna make my own list.
Jordan Peele's. Nope. List. Brought to you by Universal. Nope.
That's it for this episode. Have a good one, everybody. We'll be back here in a couple of weeks. Watch more movies. Until then, you all take it easy. Have a good one.
Later.